Bit of a different video today. Thought I'd film myself doing cardio. Literally just finished my back session and getting a few more steps in and just filming for you guys. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put the workout in the background of the video and I'm just going to talk as I walk. So in terms of the session, let's get that out of the way first. It was a pretty good session. Again, back is one of those muscle groups that I can train really well at the moment. Did exactly the same workout as last week and progressed across all the lifts, not every single set. Obviously, with the drop sets and rest pauses, I'm not expecting to necessarily increase the reps or the weights. Not every single week anyway. Obviously, like as a trend, across the next 2-3 months, I want to see an increase with all the lifts, but on a weekly basis, I'm not expecting huge progress on those sets. Pull downs were great, really, really good connection, and definitely felt more powerful on the concentric of the movement. With the rows, also great. Actually watching it back, my form looks a bit not the best, but in terms of connection in the moment, it felt amazing. And it definitely felt like I was using the full range of motion. So even though I was really kyphotic as I was doing it, it felt really, really good. Same with the T-bar rows. Really powerful today. Almost felt like I had more in the tank. It must be the increase of the carbs that's allowing me to push a little bit more than anything, to endure a bit more during the sessions. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. And then the straight arm pull downs, wasn't expecting much from that. I also did an extra exercise on my triceps just to kind of do a retouch on them throughout the week. I don't necessarily do this every single week, but if I feel like I have a little bit more in the tank at the end of my back session, I do add 1 or 2 tricep movements. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, just a tricep push down. Didn't film that one, but it did happen. I was talking to a client of mine today that he's struggling to sleep, and this is actually quite a recurrent issue for a lot of people, even myself at times. Well, actually, I say that, but I'm well known for falling asleep everywhere, like in an Uber or on the underground. Anytime I get an opportunity, I just close my eyes and I fall asleep pretty quickly. But generally, when it comes to falling asleep at night, I definitely had periods where it was a lot harder to fall asleep. And we can talk about the caffeine intake. We can talk about having exercised not too long before going to bed. But I think what keeps us up the majority of the time is just our own thoughts. Our mind just can't stop processing stuff. And this manifests in different ways. If you're clearly stressed about something that is quite tangible in your life, then you might be awake at night struggling to fall asleep because you're thinking about that. And so in that sense, tackling on the issue is relatively simple. Whatever thought is keeping you awake is what is stressing you out, and vice versa. So it makes sense, right? But I think it's particularly interesting when we start having obsessive thoughts, meaning that you might have a song in your head that you can't get rid of, or you might think of a scene in a movie and you keep thinking about that, or certain things that people said that on the surface don't really mean much to you, but they're quite obviously triggers to thoughts or feelings or emotions that are a lot deeper. In fact, the characteristic of the obsessive thought is that you can't turn it off, and it's consistently there, it's constantly there, and it's wearing you out. And why is it so superficial but so obsessive? It's because it's covering something that is a lot deeper. So I don't want to think about what it is that is really stressing me out. And so I have all these obsessive thoughts on top that are keeping me awake. And the funny thing with that is that until you stop raveling those deeper emotions and go down to the core of the matter of what is really stressing you out, you're going to get stuck into this loop that is never ending. And so how do we come out of that? Well, essentially, we just have to be brave and ask ourselves the right questions. What is it that is really stressing me out? What thoughts am I trying to cover up by obsessing about this other thing? Because obsessive thoughts are also a form of control. I'm trying to control my own mind by obsessing about something superficial and essentially silly. One tip that I can give you, and I think the most powerful tool that you have, aside of talking to someone that can help you, go a bit deeper with things. And I'm not necessarily talking about a therapist. It could also be a friend. It could also be, I don't know, your parents if you have a great relationship with them. Anybody or siblings, anybody that is good at listening and can help you just talk and talk and talk. And the more you talk, the more you find things out about yourself. Aside from all of this, the most powerful tool that you have is just writing things down. Write down your thoughts. Ask yourself questions. Write down the answers. If something is clearly stressing you out, write about it. And it doesn't have to be good writing. No one has to read it. It doesn't have to be, hey, dear diary, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't have to be like that. It can literally just be, some little notes that you write down on your phone, trying your best to empty your mind from all those thoughts and really unravel those feelings and emotions. And again, this works across the board with anything that is stressing you out. This is why writing is so therapeutic. Let's say you're stressed about work and you've got so many ideas, flowing in your head, or you're excited. You don't necessarily have to be stressed. You can be really excited about ideas, about, things you want to work on. Just write them down. Once they are down on paper or down on, on your phone, on some notes, they are there. And they're going to still be there in the morning when you wake up. This means that you can go to bed and sleep. And if it still doesn't work, it means you haven't written down enough. But trust me, if you really give it a go, and you write down exactly what's in your head, as silly as it sounds, as chaotic and messy as it is in your head, you will start to make sense of it. And again, you will give your mind a little bit of rest because you guarantee that those thoughts are not going to go anywhere. They're now down in your notes, they're down on paper. This means you can go sleep, wake up the next day and stop worrying about it again. So yeah, I suggest to give it a try and see how it goes. It definitely helped me massively in a time in my life, several different times in my life where I was struggling to sleep and I was struggling to make sense of the thoughts in my head. And everything always feels so big and intense when it's up here. But when you put it down, things have the tendency to shrink because they become real, they land, and they're a lot more manageable. All of a sudden, I can see solutions and not these gigantic monsters and walls, that problems that are unsolvable and they're absolutely draining your soul. So yeah, this is all I got for you today, guys. But thank you so much for tuning in. If it's the first time watching one of my videos, I am posting one vlog a day for a year straight. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.